Welcome back to another Cyberpunk video and to the absolute new best ultimate stealth build you can make in Cyberpunk 2077 after patch 2.0. This build is not only having infinite Sandevistan, we will also have infinite Camo and over 5000 damage per hit. Stealth is one of the most OP playstyles in Cyberpunk 2077 since the game gives you a ton of bonus damage which allows you to kill every enemy instantly just in a single hit no matter which weapon you actually want to use. But to use all the additional stealth damage you have to make sure to use certain things and mechanics in the game. And if things get messy you can still use your katana to get yourself out of every serious situation, including killing the max stacks even on the highest difficulty. Stealth damage is like critical damage, it multiplies all the damage you deal, but it doesn't need a crit chance for it. It is automatically applied as long as the combat tag is not flashing under your map. One of the easiest ways to stay out of combat is of course making yourself invisible to all your enemies. In order to activate optical camo forever and whenever we want to, we have to combine certain skills and abilities. The level 60 headhunter skill gives us 15% optical camo for every kill we make, and the vanishing act will allow us to activate optical camo whenever we want to, even if it is not fully charged. So similar to the apogee Sandevistan, which you can activate at any time you want, you can also simply activate your optical camo whenever you want. All you have to do for that is simply crouch and run during crouch. That will automatically activate your optical camo, no matter if you're fully charged it or not, it will always trigger and make you invisible. And when you combine that with the apogee Sandevistan, which you can also activate whenever you want to without waiting for the charge, you can literally stay forever in optical camo, because optical camo will completely stop when Sandevistan is active, and as long as you make kills, you can completely refill both of these abilities. You can become invisible every time you want, and you can also activate slow time and Sandevistan every time you want. This is incredibly strong and broken, especially when you activate Sandevistan, your optical camo won't even move an inch. And the whole effect is further amplified because your axolotl is not only refilling your Sandevistan cooldown, it is also refilling your optical camo directly. So additionally to the headhunter skill, your axolotl will also help you to prolong your optical camo, and Sandevistan will literally stop it moving entirely. And if this wouldn't be crazy enough, the vanishing act ability allows you to activate your optical camo whenever you want at any rate of charge. However, this is quickly draining your adrenaline. Of course, there are multiple ways to play this, but to get the most out of all these mechanics, in my opinion, it is the most satisfying to just use a pistol and run around and headshot everyone while optical camo is active all the time. Of course, you can do the same and maybe even better if you simply crouch and run around using the crouch stealth mechanics and use your throwing knives to kill all your targets. Throwing knives are incredibly OP after update 2.0 and also incredibly easy to use. As long as you one-shot everyone, your knife will always return back to you. And if things go wrong with your throwing knives or you lose it, you can still switch to your katana and simply finish off everyone. Of course, you can basically also do the same with the Overwatch. Since the Overwatch is a sniper rifle that has a silencer, you can also just crouch and run around with your Overwatch headshotting everyone in any location. But since pistols are simply so much better and so much easier to handle and reload, I would rather not recommend to do that. This build also doesn't limit you to play exclusively in stealth. If you just want to run around and kill off everyone from time to time, you can also perfectly do that, especially when you use your katana. But now let's finally check out the build. One of the best weapons and the best pistols in the game you can probably use for a stealth build is the Pride. The Pride will not only have 150% headshot damage, but when you aim at high threat enemies, especially police, you will instantly see that it increases to over 420% headshot damage. If you manage to get a legendary Kanatsugu optics, you will also probably have the best optics in the game that not only increases your crit chance but also gives you critical damage, and then simply equip a silencer that has 150% stealth damage. It actually doesn't matter if it is a legendary one, an epic or even a rare one, as long as it has 150% stealth damage, it doesn't matter. The damage reduction is a negative stat, so the higher it is, the worse it is for your build, because it reduces your damage of your weapon. The best silencer in the game would be an XC Strix silencer in a legendary variant. This silencer would have no damage reduction at all, but still 150% stealth damage. The one I'm using at the moment is the XC10 Cetus, which also has 150% stealth damage and only 10% damage reduction. The importance of stealth damage over damage reduction was shown in an earlier video. With 150% stealth damage, you will get just so much more damage than with a slightly reduced damage reduction. So you should always prioritize stealth damage over the damage reduction. If you don't have the pride yet and haven't beaten the game yet, you can of course also use Her Majesty, which is also a really nice stealth pistol. If you want to play with the throwing knives, then the best option for that is probably to use the Blue Fang, and if you want to play with a katana or just have this as a backup, then I definitely recommend the Scalpel, because in Sandevistan the Scalpel gives you 50% additional crit chance, which means you can get 100% crit chance very early in the game. Of course, once you hit Shinobi 60, you may not need the additional crit chance, and you can also switch to other katanas such as the Byakko or the Irata. Our operating system of course should be the Epouji Militech Sandevistan, then you can go for the electrified Mantis Blades if you want, and definitely pick up the Handle Wrap to increase your crit chance with throwing knives. Of course, we will use the Blood Pump Biomonitor combo for our automated health refills, so we don't have to bother about healing, and then of course the optical camo in our Cyberware slot. Speaking about the Cyberware, we'll use a more specific set of Cyberware compared to our standard version to enhance our blade and throwing knife skill and give us just more stealth gameplay value. We'll also use the Edgerunners perk and Renaissance Punk to get up to 300 Cyberware capacity, which is needed for this build, which is around the value where everybody is stuck at right now. In our frontal cortex, of course, we'll go for the Axolotl. It is just a mandatory item in every build. It removes the cooldown from Sandevistan and from our optical camo and just helps with everything for every build. For the operating system, we will use the Epouji Militech Sandevistan. The 20% refill rate for every kill combined with the Axolotl effect just makes this incredibly crazy. The only item that is actually a DLC item are the Kiroshi Cockatrice optics, which give you additional 30% crit chance. However, if you don't have the Phantom Liberty DLC, you could simply swap in a normal Kiroshi optics. That will not only save you 30 Cyberware capacity, it will also maybe allow you to use Second Heart in your circulatory system instead of it. Of course, instead of using a katana like the Scalpel, you can also use your Mantis Blades instead, and I would recommend you to use some with electric damage. In the skeleton slots, we'll go for the Epigmorphic Skeleton and the Parabellum to get as much armor as possible, and in the third slot we'll go for Dense Marrow this time to increase our melee damage for our blades and throwing knives. If you don't use blades or throwing knives a lot, you can also go for bionic joints to further increase your armor. In the nervous system, of course, we'll go for the Reflex Tuner. Similar to the Epouji Sandevistan, the Axolotl will also reduce our cooldown of our Reflex Tuner. Then we go for the Stabber for additional crit chance for our blades. And another new item here are the Atomic Sensors, which increase your movement speed according to your detection rate. So this item should give us a permanent movement boost depending on how suspicious our enemies actually are. Then of course we'll go for the Subdermal Armor, which gives us a great value of armor for just very little capacity, and of course the optical camo in our integumentary system. In our hand slots, we'll go for the Handle Wrap, which gives us additional 27% crit chance for throwing blades, and the micro rotors in our circulatory system will also further increase the DPS with any of our blades or throwing knives as well. However, if you don't want to use the micro rotors and if you don't have the DLC, you could also swap in the Kiroshi optics and use a normal Second Heart here. But I definitely recommend you go for the usual Blood Pump and Biomonitor combo. That will trigger automatic healing and you don't have to worry about any of your health issues anymore. Of course, don't forget to use the tendons for your double jump. For the additional stats on your Cyberware, you should try to reroll as much stealth damage and as much headshot damage as possible. Regarding the skills, we'll actually go for a maximum 20 on Reflex, 20 Tank and 20 Cool to maximize crit chance, critical damage and to maximize our Cyberware capacity. You can also optionally go for Body 20 and Reflex 18, since we don't use the Reflex finishers, but the body finishers might be more appealing for you. In body, this time we'll actually only use the center tree, which means we'll get all the perks at the bottom, which increases our health refill abilities, and then we will go for Adrenaline and everything that increases or improves our Adrenaline Rush ability. If you're going for Body 20 instead of Reflex 20, it might be useful to get Pain to Gain to improve your health item recharge. For Reflex, you can actually decide whether you want to go for 15 or 20. You can spend these additional points on body, or if you don't have the DLC, you can simply save all those 4 points altogether. The level 20 abilities are not giving us anything of major value. All we need is actually to get Flash and Thunderclap and our blade finishers. So you should go for Slippery, Dash, then Lead to Steal and everything that leads to Flash and Thunderclap. That will make you leap forward to your enemy and apply a very heavy attack to him. Then improve your blade finisher attacks, and if you want to, you can also go for Air Dash. Tech is also very basic and very standard this time. Of course we'll go for Tech 20 and then we go for all things Cyber, License to Chrome and the Edgerunners perk. we will go for expired warranty, which extends the duration of all our Cyberware Renaissance Punk to get more Cyberware capacity, and then driver update and shipware connoisseur to be able to reroll those stats. In the left tree, we'll go for anything that improves our health items. Glutton for War, Health Freak, Pyromaniac. We'll go for the friendly fire abilities that reduces explosive damage from self-inflicted explosions, and anything that improves our health items. In the cool tree, similar to Reflex, we also have the option to save 5 points if you don't have the DLC, so only go for a cool 15 if you don't have Phantom Liberty. One of the most useful abilities for stealth build in the cool tree is Vanishing Act, because Vanishing Act allows you to activate your optical camo whenever you want to by simply using crouch and run. You don't have to wait for it to be fully recharged. When you just start running while you're crouched, it will automatically activate. So we grab Feline Footwork, and since we are crouching a lot, we also go for all the mitigation chance that is connected to it, and then go for Ninjutsu and of course a Vanishing Act here in the center tree. Also really important is Killer Instinct for the increased stealth damage, Quick Getaway, and Gag Order, which helps you to stay out of combat when attacking larger groups of enemies. Then we move up the tree with Scorpion Sting to get the Juggler perk. Juggler is one of the most important abilities if you want to play with throwing knives, because it will immediately return your knives when you make an instant kill with them. So you should definitely max out all the perks that are connected to Juggler. The left tree perks with Focus and Deadeye are also extremely awesome to improve your pistols, revolvers and sniper rifle skills as well. However, the level 20 perk Nerves of Tungsten Steel doesn't apply to pistols, it only applies to revolvers and sniper rifles, but all the other connected perks are extremely helpful to increase your reload speed and increase your damage for all pistols, revolvers and sniper rifles. But the most important ability in this tree is still the Vanishing Act. The relic skills are not really game breaking. If you want to use any of them, then I recommend the ones for Mantis Blade and Gorilla Arms. I hope you really like this build. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave me a like, and see you next time.